Usyk will
You
quit.
keep the score.
Usyk will quit. You're wrong. You're going to get the shock of your life.
No, it's better to burn out than fade away.
There we go.
He is not elite yet. Tell me one elite fighter he's beat.
You want to see what the Silk said?
Yes.
I don't know whether to float or gloat.
What size feet is he, Ben?
Good evening and welcome to Sugar, Silk and Stretch, arguably the best boxing podcast in the world. As you can see by the plain evidence of your eyes, I am riding on my Jack Jones right now. Gary Stretch is very close and in the building, but he's not here just yet. Michael Silk Olajide has been held up in the Big Apple, so he thinks he's going to get here at 4:30. I think that's no good to most of you English people. 9:30 UK time. He should be here. He's already annoyed me before we even started. He said, I got a lot to say as well. So just let me say it when I get on. Get all your stuff out the way. So don't interrupt when I get on. And I'm like, bollocks. This is a discussion show. We have a back and forth discussion, Mr. Olajide. So the fact you're not here now, I'm going to hold the fort like a superstar on my own. And when you get here, we can have a normal civilized discussion, which you don't try to hog. Never work with children, animals, or fucking middleweights from the 1980s and 90s. How's it going, Gary? And Wandrew, how you doing? So, guys, obviously the major talking point is the big fight in Saudi Arabia last night. Most people seem to have the view, fight fans and industry talking heads alike seem to feel that Dmitry Bivol was hard done by and should be the rightful undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world right now. To be honest with you, let me just recap before I give my particular view on it. We had Eddie Hearn said it was absolutely disgusting, outrageous decision, and the judge in particular, who scored it 116, 112 for Beterbiev, should never work another fight again. That was Eddie's take on it, and I've seen him post pictures on the gram saying, I'm proud of you, Dmitry Bivol, the true undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world. Frank Warren, who was Beterbiev's man, right? How's it going, Danny Graham? Who was Beterbiev's man? He said he thought Bivol won by a couple of rounds as well. Eddie said there wasn't anybody in the first row in that rarefied circle who thought Beterbiev had won. Who else? Turki Al-Sheikh, the main man, the man who has caused the complete, utter, almost surreal revolution in world boxing. He thought that Bivol won as well. But right guy won, says Gary Rickards. Just my opinion, Ben. Yeah, absolutely, Gary. And do you know what? Here's the thing, right? Let me see what Abid Ali is saying, the professor, first. Do you know what I like about Silk or Gary not being here? I can do this and I can talk to you all and get all your questions in. It's not half as easy when I'm trying to work with the other two foils. Not saying I want this just to be called sugar, sugar, and sugar. Heaven forbid, perish the thought. I'm just saying, that's all. Abid Ali said, calls of a robbery are nonsense. The judges preferred the aggressive Bivol. Sorry, preferred the aggressor. Bivol was close to being cleaned out in the championship rounds. See, not a million miles away from my take, Professor Ali, because first of all, I watched it in this flat last night with Gary Stretch. Now, Gary was very partisan to Beterbiev, who he picked to win in convincing fashion inside the distance. And consequently, every time he almost landed a punch, every time Beterbiev came forward or landed on the gloves, Gary would hit me in the arm and go, there you go, hey, come on, hey, he's my man. So it was difficult for me to view it entirely objectively, and it became a bit of a kind of back and forth between the two of us. Then Bivol would land a combination. I'd be like, that's it, son, come on, keep it long, that's it, dazzle him, you've got the skills. But here's the thing. When we got to, I did feel that Beterbiev was walking him down implacably and impassively. He never seems to get tired. He never gets discouraged. At no point did he look worried by anything Bivol threw at him the whole night. His defense is pretty good as well, Artur. It's not like he was just walking forward, catching punches like a goalkeeper. And I thought Bivol was too conservative behind that high guard that he likes to hold like this sometimes. Bivol did box brilliantly, and it was a high-level, intense kind of chess match, juxtaposed with the physical nature that Beterbiev was imposing on the affair. But if they were even after 10 rounds, and as I say, I will score it on a second watch, which I haven't done yet. If they were even after 10 rounds, only one man stepped up, and that was Beterbiev. He won the 11th by a mile. He battered Bivol kind of from pillar to post somewhat in the 11th, and he probably won the 12th round as well. So if it was all down to the last 2 rounds, then it's certainly it's indisputable that only one of those fighters stepped up to the plate in the last 2 rounds. What is Danny Graham saying? He says, was Bivol outdone bollocks? The 116 scorecard was bollocks, but Beterbiev won that. Well, you say it was bollocks, Danny, but here's the thing: if you believe Beterbiev won it, you can get rounds which you think are close and intense and closely contested, but if you get enough of them to if you give enough of them to one man, i.e. Beterbiev, then it's 116-12 maybe. Here's what I would say. Nobody can say a card was nonsense unless they scored it themselves. If you're relying on your overall impression and how well you think each fighter did in relation to each other, and how close you feel it was in spirit, and how much credit you think they both deserve, and nobody deserves to lose by a long, embarrassing margin, then that is worthless. You have to. Have you never ever scored a fight, guys, and been surprised at your total? Have you never done that? Have you never added it up at the end of every round and continued to watch and then been like, oh wow, I've got such and such by 5 points without realizing it? Because that is the way the judges work. That's the way they're supposed to work. They hand in their scorecards at the end of end of every round, which is why it's nonsense. The other one I hate is when people say, I think a draw would have been the fairest outcome. Fuck off. It doesn't work that way. You score it every round, and you hand in your score like a secret ballot kind of arrangement with the officials. You give them to the ref. You always used to give them to the referee back in the day, anyway. And then after that, the scores are announced at the end, and the scores are what they are, which is why it's always nonsense when people say. I've even heard people say, oh, I don't think Bivol did enough to take the belt. Well, that's obviously nonsense, because as well as me being absolutely physically allergic to that bogus, hoary old principle, which does exist and we do see it at work, but the fans should not be parroting it, and it should never be legitimised. But in any case, they were both champions going in, right? Okay, so he had 3 major belts, Beterbiev, and Bivol just had the one, and that other kind of fledgling world strap, which is gaining ground, unfortunately, the IBO. But it shouldn't have been about that. Nobody was taking the title. That was the 2 best heavyweights in the world meeting head on, and the winner was going to be the man. There was no man going into that fight, okay? So Gary Rickards had it 116-12. That's what I'm saying, Danny Graham. You can't say it's nonsense 116, 112. And bear in mind, I haven't scored it yet, so I don't have a card. To be totally honest with you, gentlemen, because I don't think there's any ladies watching yet, was Ellen K. Bromson or Tona Hamashidge. To be totally honest with you, I thought Bivol was going to nick it. I was very confident. Bear in mind, I'm lying on a bed with Gary, no homo. But we're lying back like those 2 old guys in the Muppets, horizontal, watching this fight. And Gary is cheering every time Beterbiev looks like he's doing anything, even if he's walking forward or answering the bell. I'm cheering and saying, come on, son, when Bivol starts to shine and starts to turn it on and he's having a good spell or a good round. At the end of it, after 10 rounds, I was like, you're going to be eating humble pie here, Gary. I've got this. My man's got this. And I'm going to get a point in this ever so important predictions league, which the Silk is going to whinge about when he gets here, by the way. Watch this space. So, after 10 rounds, I thought Bivol has got this. And then the 11th round was so heavy for Beterbiev. It wasn't a 2-point round, but it was a big round. And then after the 12th round, when I thought once again Bivol really needed a big finish and we didn't see it, I still expected Bivol to get home. And I looked at the reaction of his corner and the body language when he got to the corner compared to the body language in the other corner. But as soon as they announced a draw, which we knew it was likely to be a split or a majority, I think we could have predicted that. And then once they announced that Beterbiev was the winner, it wasn't something I felt outraged about. It wasn't something I was about to denounce as a robbery. And I can understand why they because see the commentary as well. We watched it on DAZN, and the commentary of DAZN. I love Barry Jones and Darren Barker, and I've got nothing against any of the colleagues of those fine former boxers and gentlemen, but they did seem a little bit Bivol heavy. They'd seem a little bit partial to Bivol. They weren't really giving Artur his first share of credit. I don't believe. I heard the Sky commentary had a similar bias. and I heard the TNT commentary, which was, I think, Richie Woodall, which I didn't watch, was more pro Beterbiev. So it does. I love to admit the commentary makes any difference to me because I've got my own eyes, and I often get annoyed when people tell me to watch it with the sound down. I actually get in my ego and in my feelings, and I'm like, listen, I am a boxing expert, sir. Do you think anybody as base as either, Chris Mannix or Richie Woodall or Fletch or whatever could influence me and take me off my game? But the truth is, we are influenced, obviously, by the commentary. One reason why I won't turn the sound down is because I don't want to watch a fight with no atmosphere. Some of you say there's no atmosphere in Saudi Arabia, by the way. Do you know something? By the way, I'm sitting, seeing myself do this. This on the back of the screen, it's coming back at me, and I'm thinking I'm quite good on my own actually. Much as I mean, we look forward to Silk getting here, but this is cool. I'm talking to you lot, and nobody is annoying me right now. Nobody is interrupting me. Nobody is talking over somebody else. Nobody is annoying me. This is a very zen-like moment in my particular career. What are you guys saying? BT was more Beterbiev bias, yeah. Well, Rich Hall, was it bias or was it more? Were they more in favour of him and were they getting it right? Were they nailing it in your opinion, or was it more bias the other way, the other extreme? Interested to hear your thoughts on that. Abid Ali says whenever Beterbiev laid it on as Bivol was hurt, wherever Beterbiev laid it on Bivol, he was hurt. Whenever he did, yes, I get it. Bivol, when he caught Beterbiev, didn't phase him at all. Absolutely. There was only one of the guys who could hurt the other one. And, it's easy for us as observers to say that Bivol was too conservative and too cautious at times. And I think he was. But having said that, if he hadn't have been, perhaps he'd have ended up as another one of those KO statistics on the formerly 100% knockout record of Artur Beterbiev, So he did. It was a wonderful fight, and I think they both came out with a lot of credit. And you have to love the dignified, very manly response of Dmitry Bivol when he said, "I don't like to make excuses about. I feel shame talking about why I didn't win or what I didn't do." He said, "I didn't win, and that's it." Which was they were the epitome of class and integrity in the build-up, during the fight, and after the fight. Silk, mind you, I think he might have a different view. I think Silk's going to come on and say he thinks Bivol definitely got jobbed. And I think Silk's view is that when I posted the video of Bivol saying I didn't win and that's the end of it, I think he said I don't see anything wrong with saying how you feel. I think Silk feels he won. And I think he also feels that he should have been more outspoken about the fact that he thought he won. What's happening? Danny Wright of Fight Fan Live. Getting it right, says Rich Hall. Thank you for your response, mate. See, I like this. I like working on my own or solo because I can talk. I can still talk and give you a show and hopefully give you some entertainment, but I can interact with you guys so much better. Yeah, I understand that. Silk is going to rip the piss when he sees that dress in the background, Ben. He is. I didn't even notice it, but that's exactly the sort of thing that Silk will home in on. I wonder why. Why is he so conscious of ladies' fashion? Does he protest too much? Let him answer that when he gets here. Raymond Hales says Arthur pressed the fight and landed the heavier shots. He did, Raymond. He did, and I think that is something that has a big effect on some judges. Because for me, Bivol, if Bivol had got the decision, and I must be honest, I expected he would get it, even with the bad last two rounds where Artur had finished stronger. If he'd have got it, I wouldn't be complaining any more than I'm complaining now, and I don't think anyone should. See, this is the thing with Gary Stretch. Gary said, no, if it had been a draw, it'd have been okay. But if they'd have given it to Bivol, it'd have been an outrage. I couldn't have accepted that. Now, I think that's unreasonable because I accepted Beterbiev winning, even though most of the industry and most of the fan polls I've seen today don't seem to think that Beterbiev did win the fight. So I think I hate cliches, and one of them is it could have gone either way. People say that too often when there was a definite winner in a fight, if they only know how to score it, or they knew how to, or they'd have a bit of courage in their convictions. But this one, I genuinely feel it was a case of it could have gone either way. It went Beterbiev's way. What is Abid Ali saying? Bivol's thumb was bruised and swollen from holding his glove up to protect his right hand from Beterbiev. Yes. Interesting point here, guys. Abid Ali and other guys, right? because he had his gloves up here, right? A lot of the time, he likes to hold his gloves, even though he moves. He has his gloves up here a bit more. See, for me, not that I think Dmitry Bivol needs boxing tips from me, but just my value base. I'll tell you how it goes. By the way, I just got a message from Michael Nunn. I can see it just drop in there. Michael Nunn is talking to me. But anyway, I'm still a fan. I'm just still that boy who loves boxing. For me, I like the hands to be there, and if you need to block, you're like block, right, catch, block, whatever. But the hands are there so you can throw punches, yeah? But Bivol likes to put them here. And you see that in his other fights. He likes to have the hands high in the first place, and then he lets his hands go. But here's an interesting point. My friend Tony Cox was there ringside, and he sent me 12 wonderful videos from ringside, his own footage, which was interesting because he got a really clear viewpoint, and there's also no commentary on there, okay? He said I can use it if I want because it's copyright free. I'm not convinced it's copyright free, but we shall see. Maybe I'll try to do something with it in the week. But anyway, he said the damage from facial damage that Bivol sustained, and it's plain for everybody to see in the aftermath, was caused a lot by, and I think Bivol confirmed this, he said was caused by him hitting himself, like the gloves going into him. When this guy hits your glove and he's so injurious and heavy a puncher that you're kind of hitting yourself. And Tony Cox was trying to suggest that should have some scoring bearing. If someone's hitting your gloves so hard that you've got bruises underneath your gloves, underneath your guard, then that should be credited to him. Here's my thing. I believe that if you hit the gloves first, it may be doing yourself a favour to break a guy down and break him up and make him feel uncomfortable. But as far as I'm concerned, if they hit the gloves first, they don't score. If they hit the gloves and they don't land clean, then I don't care how much they hurt after they've hit your glove. I'd be interested to know what you guys think of that. The great Michael Nunn, I got his autograph glove in my living room, says Joe. Yep. I'm hoping to bring him over to Britain, Joe. Assuming you live in Britain, would you come and see him? Rich Hall. Rich says Bivol landed cleaner shots, but Beterbiev never hurt Bivol. Looked like he could have. Looked like he could go if Beterbiev ever landed a clean shot. Yeah, well, I think you were always worried about that. Particularly if you were rooting for Dmitry Bivol last night, as I was. I think there was always that concern that he could be in trouble, where I don't think at any point we ever thought the other guy was going to be in trouble. He did stick it on Bivol in one round. Can anybody remind me what that round was? There was one particular group, because some of the time Bivol did stand and have it with Artur. When he took a hard shot, sometimes Bivol was inclined to fight fire with fire, and he went back at him hard. And they were getting into a bit of a trade-up sometimes. Okay, and so that was interesting. And there was one particular point, one round, I want to say 7th or 8th, when Bivol really let his hands go. 7, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Danny Wright. Perfect. Round 7, he was knocking Beterbiev all over the place and backed him up. But as you say, Danny, Beterbiev did have the last word right at the end of that round and started to put him in his place. But there was signs they were going to have a fight, and they weren't going to be. It wasn't going to be a technical chess match anymore. But before too long, Bivol pretty much reverted to his favoured game plan. Nunn versus Kalambai, El Crescendo moment. Yeah. What's Ellen saying? I love you guys, but when it comes down to it, I do believe that Ben is often better alone. Yeah. I think it's because, it's not easy to get those 3 egos and 3 personalities all on the same screen. It is very, very difficult. It's a constant challenge. And, you get too close to people, they wind you up. They annoy you. He'll be here soon, by the way, Silk. Great technical chess match. One of my favourites since Loma Linares. Glorious to watch. Yeah. I'm going to watch it again, certainly, Joe. We never miss your opportunities to speak. Yes, thank you, Alan. I'm going to watch the fight again, certainly, because I owe myself a watch on my own with a scorecard. And we'll see what comes of that. Talking about the rest of the card a little bit before Olajide gets here, and we'll pick up the Bivol Beterbiev story again. Ben Whittaker, most of you seem to feel he bailed. I've got to be honest with you, I was on my way to Shepherd's Bush to see Gary when it happened, so I saw some of it on a stream. Then I came indoors, and then we were trying to get it on the TV. So by the time we got the TV set up, I didn't see the end of the Whittaker fight. I've seen it since. I've seen the footage where they both flip out the ring WWE style, but most of you seem to be of the view that Ben Whittaker bailed last night. First tough opponent who really believed he could beat Ben. He'd stepped up in class. Liam Cameron was making it uncomfortable for him and sticking it on him. Liam Cameron very much fancied the fight, and a lot of you think that Ben made a meal of it and took the get out clause that was offered to him, when really he could have continued if he'd really wanted to. So whether I haven't seen any updates from Ben Whittaker today, I haven't seen a statement for social media, I haven't seen any confirmations or reports of an injury, any medical reports. I think it was his ankle that he said was a problem. I think it was. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But what I do feel it is a brand. It's hurt his brand somewhat, and it's a bit of a bubble bursting moment last night for him. I know Lee Eaton, manager of Liam Cameron, I think in conjunction with Sonny Edwards, I think he's one of the fighters. What they call him? Does Sonny call his management company Real Fighters Only? I believe Liam Cameron is attached to Lee Eaton and Sonny Edwards under that banner. And certainly Lee said he swallowed it. Don't you worry about it. We're going to get a rematch. And they probably will push for that, whether they get it or not. Abid Ali, still talking about the main event, says if it was a 15-rounder, Bivol would have got smoked. Maybe so. Bivol made no complaints, which suggests to me he knew he lost. You know what, Gary? I don't believe that quite. I think when you see the start of his post-fight speech, he says, yes, to be honest, I thought I was in control. I thought everything was under control going into the last round, I think he said. And he said, yes, I did think I was controlling and winning. But then he completely outweighed the tone of that speech when he said, but I didn't win, and boxing's not just about, he said he thought he'd landed more punches. He said, but boxing's not just about landing more punches. He said it's about winning rounds. Sometimes it's about aggression. It's about impressing the judges and appealing to the judges. And he says, and I give me shame to make excuse. I don't like to talk about why I didn't do. He said, my philosophy is to be perfect. And I didn't do that, and I didn't win. So, but Rich, I don't think he believes he lost. I do not believe. I believe Dmitry Bivol probably thinks he won the fight, mate. The latest on Fraser Clark, Rich. Sorry, Gary Rickard was saying that he thinks Bivol may know he lost. I don't believe that, Gary. But respectfully between you and me. But in any case, Rich Hall says, what's the latest on Fraser Clark? The latest on Fraser Clark is that he underwent a minor surgery successfully last night, and he's on his way back to the UK to convalesce with family, and he's very grateful for all the support. So I do like the boxing community, the way they embrace somebody when there's a little bit, they're on the care list. People were a bit worried by the nature of that knockout, the stoppage last night, and we're hoping that Big Fraser's okay. And it was quite touching that everybody was saying, well done, champ, all the best. Nobody, there's probably some silly memes going around of the dent, the slight indentation on the side of his skull, but those kind of people are anchors, basically. People who watch us like this. So it was quite touching. Fraser Clark received. I hope it'll be okay. Mr. Moustache, so fan of you, Ben. Sorry, big fan of you. Try to watch the fight again, and you will see AB.
And this is Sugar, Silk, and Stretch.
Yeah, here we got Stretch as well. Yeah,
I'm here, but I'm missing.
Here's Gary. Yeah, that was just a cameo. That was it. We couldn't afford it, so we could only get him on for 10 seconds. Just the way it is. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I really do think that the photos of John are magnificent. Yeah. Yeah, I will watch it again, Mr. Moustache. I don't know if that is a real name, but it's rather unusual. But Fraser had a Norton type of look on his face, Cooney in the corner. Yeah, like kind of stupefied, worrying sort of look. Absolutely. Okay, so what else? Chris Eubank Jr. It looked like he was going to win in dominant fashion, right, in the first round. And then, as Chris is to do, he kind of started to labour a little bit and make hard work of it. I don't want to take the credit away from his opponent, Sarah Messer, who is a tough guy and a game guy. And I think even the stoppage, I think he wanted to continue, but I think the referee was pretty much ruling him out on the basis that he was outclassed and things weren't going to improve for him at that point. I think it was the 6th round, right? So Chris Eubank Jr., yeah, I think the fact there's been so much square off with Conor Benn this week, I think Ben has already been told that he's got a green light and that fight is going to be made next. Because if it happens in Saudi Arabia, for instance, they will still need the sanction of the British Boxing Board of Control if they continue on the modus operandi they've had so far, which has been that the British Boxing Board of Control has overseen all of the Saudi shows so far, the Riyadh season shows. So I suspect behind closed doors there's already been an agreement that Conor Benn, there will be a ruling which allows Conor Benn to fight Chris Eubank on a board sanctioned promotion next time out. That's what I think. In any case. What else do we have? To be honest with you, I mean, I saw most of Sky Nicholson versus Raven Chapman, and I think it was pretty clear cut, really. To be honest with you, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the only Hearn victory over like 20 odd scenarios? Because more bad essentially on that card, and we know the boxing proposal is we've got the second. I'm out of it. I don't know if this is the one. Is it still good? Someone talk just to let me know that you still got it. You. Hey, Bruce. Careful what he wishes for. You have wait for a reason. Sorry, I think this Wi-Fi is playing up, guys, because I've been out a little bit. This keeps cutting out. I don't know what's happening to the Wi-Fi here. I'm not in my pad. Let me know if you still got me, because, like I say, the Wi-Fi has been coming in and out a bit here. Yeah, in response to Gary Rickard's comment about weight classes for a reason, you probably are familiar with the fact that Michael Olajide doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe in strength or size advantages or reach advantages or height advantages. He doesn't believe in anything except a glove weight advantage, apparently. He thinks a 6 ounce extra weight of gloves is absolutely pivotal, or another 8 ounces, but he doesn't seem to think, thank you, Joe, but he doesn't seem to think that that a guy twice the size of another one makes any difference whatsoever. You know, he has his own logic, of course. I just realised we've still got the scoreboard up in the top corner there, that way, which is actually outdated after last night because it's all changed. The Silk is also going to complain about the fact that he wanted to abstain on the big main event last night in the predictions kind of battle that we all have, and I said you can't do that. Plus the fact he actually said he was picking Bivol on Friday night show. He wanted to change his mind and abstain and make no pick, and then he just wanted to copy our picks for the undercard. He asked us first what we were picking, then he said I'm the same, only I'm not picking the main event, and I just said get the fuck out of here. You're not doing that. You are not changing the pick you made on Friday, and you are not getting away with abstaining on such a big fight. So when he gets here, he's probably going to moan about that, and I'm just going to shut him down. Okay. We're just driving through Atlantic City listening. Oh, really? You're just yeah, the connection, like I say, Gary, it's because I'm not at my place, Danny. Is it okay now? Someone told me I'm okay now. Because if I'm not, I'd rather just get out of here and cut it and say it was a good show while it lasted. What else have we got before the Cyclopean gets here? These, as I say, I didn't expect Fabio Wardley to do the job he did, and people have expressed their concerns for Fraser Clark, but it looks like he's okay. And you know, it's certainly some performance from coming through loud and clear. Fine. Okay, it's certainly some performance from Fabio Wardley there, and I think the future looks very bright for him, really, doesn't it? Because I think, to be honest, if he was to fight Anthony Joshua next week, I think a lot of you will probably pick Fabio Wardley, and so might I do as well. You know, What else are we up to? We had the we've spoken about the girls. We've spoken about Eubank. We've spoken about Ben Whittaker. We've spoken about Fraser and okay, Jay Opetaia. Jay Opetaia looked fantastic again. I think he is one serious package of a cruiserweight. He's just so talented, so fluent, so good organically. The combinations he throws, just so intelligent, so smart, so spiteful. I think, and he seems like a likable guy as well. So I think we've got reason to be very high on the Jay Opetaia thing. And I think if he fancies it at some point in his career, when he's cleaned up at cruiserweight and thinks he's done everything he has to achieve at cruiserweight, I think obviously naturally the possibility of the heavyweight division, the traditional glamour division, and a bunch of big paydays and exciting matchups looms. I don't know whether some of you might think he's too small to be a game-changing heavyweight in the manner of Alexander Usyk. I know that. Yeah, let me talk that in a minute, Sammy. I know that the Silk wouldn't agree with that. If he thinks a guy's good enough, he thinks he's big enough. So, Sammy says Ben Whittaker palaver. Did he quit? Sammy, most people are of the opinion that he quit. To be honest with you, I didn't see it in real time because I saw the few rounds before it. Then I was on my way to where I was going to watch the main body of the boxing, and I'd missed it. Somebody initially sent it to me on WhatsApp and showed them both falling out of the ring, and they asked me whose fault was it, But Ben Whittaker, I mean, I can't say what is wrong with him, but it was interesting, wasn't it? Because there was no flash from him last night at all that I saw. He was being all business, and it looked like he was in a fight. And it was going to be highly interesting over 10 rounds, and only one of them wanted to continue when they both took a tumble out the ring. So I don't think it's good for Ben Whittaker. And I think he does need to erase the bad taste of what happened last night. And I would suggest he needs to fight Liam Cameron again. Whether he'll go down that direction, I don't know. But I think, with the inconclusive nature of it and the wagging tongues in his direction, I would think he would want to have that rematch again. Unless, let's suppose he really did bail and he really didn't fancy it. Well, in that case, he'd find his excuses, presumably, Gary Rickard says that Opetaia is not big enough to be a heavyweight, in his opinion. Have you picked out future opponents for Wardley? Interesting question, Bruce. Like I say, well, he could fight. I mean, obviously, they could wheel Chisora out. That's a name that always gets thrown in there. I mean, I quite like Joshua and Wardley. Why not? Why not say to Joshua, you got absolutely annihilated in a bogus IBF title fight. And I call it a bogus IBF title fight because, for me, this is my value base, right? You can't work on the basis that you bang the drum that this is the first undisputed heavyweight champion since 1999, Lennox Lewis. And then as soon as that happens, literally months later, the champion, with pressure on him to defend against another guy that he doesn't want to defend against immediately because he wants to take the rematch of Tyson Fury, you pressure him to give the belt to someone else, to give it to Daniel Dubois, who suddenly defends it against Anthony Joshua. That is just Emperor's New Clothes bollocks. So, Joshua, Anthony, you just lost. You got beaten out of sight in a title fight that should not have even been a title fight by any remotely sane, integrity-based yardstick. So that is where you found yourself at that supposed level. Why don't you go back down to domestic level and fight Fabio Wardley? The young lion coming through. You're the older guy now, who's obviously a massive star still with a lot of drawing power. You're fighting for your legacy and your continued survival as a fighter, if not remotely monetarily. Why don't you fight Fabio Wardley next? It makes sense to me. And they could still make a huge fight out of that. I would say they could make a bigger spin out of it because surely when you see what happened to Joshua against Dubois, how does that set up or sell a rematch, or how does that logically warrant a rematch in any meritorious sense? I don't get it. In the words of John, I can't even believe we're having this discussion. Yeah. Okay. Dylan White. Well, that's a nice one, Rich Hall. Dylan White versus Fabio Wardley. See, that is the kind of level fight that it would be good to see Fabio Wardley in next. And defending his British and Commonwealth titles, like they've actually got some prestige. Why should the likes of Dylan White or Anthony Joshua even turn their nose up at the British title. Why? Why should they be so above that? I understand the universe that Anthony Joshua lives in and the kind of the whole headspace he lives in. He will see himself as a world-class heavyweight and a two-time world heavyweight champion, and he will think the British title is beneath him. But why? You know, we've seen it back in the day when British fighters lost world titles or were defeated in world title challenges. They dropped back down with honour to that level. I mean, people will remember Jim Watt and Ken Buchanan when Jim had been the undisputed lightweight champion of the world at one point and Buchanan is a Hall of Famer, but he dropped back down to domestic level when he had organically been beaten at world level, you know, and he fought Jim Watt, you know, and showed that he was still too good for Jim Watt at the time, who I believe was only having his 17th professional fight. But listen, I'm talking up Anthony Joshua versus Fabio Wardley, and you know, more than I'm talking up certainly the Joshua Dubois rematch. When could Anthony Joshua turn the tables against Daniel Dubois? Yes, in theory he could. But to me, it looked more serious than that. To me, it looked more like the sign of a fighter who's got no punch resistance left. I don't want to say he's shot on every single level, but if you've got no punch resistance left, it's as good as being shot. It's the same thing. You know, it makes the same difference, you know. What is SS saying? Why has British sport led the way for the world? The Queensberry rules. Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting, Essa, if you look at the landscape we have in boxing now, and this is a period, a renaissance period of radical change. Britain is more of a power base for boxing now than America is, the United States of America. America was always the Mecca when I was growing up as a kid, and that situation persisted for decades. But now Britain is more of a power base, is more of a kind of, it's more where it's at. Like, you know, when they look at the musical zeitgeist, like the swinging 60s, and that kind of whole 1960s sexual and social revolution happened in London at first. It kicked off in swinging London. It feels a bit like this new boxing revolution now. It's something which obviously it's based in Saudi Arabia, but because Turkey is so close to Eddie and Frank, he's closer to the British power brokers than he is to the American power brokers like De La Hoya and Arum and Tom DeBurr from Top Rank. So I think it's very interesting. If you'd have woken me up from a deep freeze when I've been asleep since 1988, there's a lot of things you could tell me that would shock me, so many, but one of them would be that Britain is more of a global power base for boxing, with more and leads the way more. So, and, you know, you only look at the breakdown of the heavyweight division compared to leading American heavyweights, and that Britain is essentially atop America nowadays in the boxing pecking order. I think that is something I would never ever have foreseen when I was younger. What are we saying here? Totally agree, Ben. Joshua should fight Wardley. Doesn't deserve Dubois, you know. But you know, the trouble is, Gary, Dubois will want the fight because the way he sees it, it's another massive payday against a guy he's already mopped the floor with, and obviously he fancies himself to do it again. So I guess why wouldn't Dubois want the fight again? Dylan White manages him, so it won't happen. Oh, thank you, the voice of reason, Raymond Hales. That I forgot about that. I forgot that Dylan White manages. Are you sure he manages Wardley? You're absolutely sure about that? Because I know that he is. I know that he is in the management business, but I couldn't remember if he managed Wardley or not. But it rings a bell. It does ring a bell. Ellen, I could not understand why everybody else was picking Anthony Joshua. Nickname: because amateur boxing at grassroots level is so well run and cheap as a participant sport. What? That's the answer to what though? What is that the answer to, nickname? You're saying because amateur boxing at grassroots level is so well run and cheap as a participant sport, it's because, why is that? What, like I say, what is that? That's obviously the answer to a question when it starts with because. I'm just curious for clarification, sir. Which question are you answering? We should have the silk about now, you know, because it's already 39. And do you know what would really piss him off? If I actually just did the show, closed it in the next 5 minutes, and just said, "Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and please subscribe. We'll be back next Friday." Could you a whole bunch of stuff better be he thinks a heist and a robbery. I think he's going to be leaning towards that version of events. Because I saw the Silks updates on Facebook, and he was saying, I think going into the 11th round or thereabouts, he was saying this is a problem and Bivol needs a knockout to win. So he obviously had Sorry, Beterbiev needs a knockout to win. So the Silk obviously had Bivol up. I do want to get a chance to discuss it with him, and that's why we've got a lot of good boxers. But you say that, but we always had that nickname. We always had that, and we were vastly behind the Americans and other nations in the amateurs, like the Soviets and the Cubans and all the rest of it. The thing is, America used to be stronger with a stronger amateur program, and obviously, you only need to look at the decline of the American amateur system by the progressive diminishing success in recent Olympiads. If you want to go back, let's go back if we go back to, let's say, 1976, for instance, when you had the 5 gold medalists in Montreal, who were the Sphinx brothers, Leo Randolph, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Howard Davis. Here comes my man, the Silk. So hold that thought, because here. Word.
Hey,
I
what's
gotta
going
say,
on?
yeah, it's good. You wouldn't believe. I've got this great new idea. You wouldn't believe how good I am on my own. It really works well. No, welcome, Silk. We missed you. I am good on my own, though. Silk, honestly, you should watch
No,
it.
I know. I believe you. I believe you are. You should be on your own more often, from what I've
But
heard.
you know what they say, yeah. see, you got that turn of phrase. You are the master of the back of the compliment. You'd be good in high society while all the socialite bitches try to diss each other and say,
What?
well, especially, they'd be like saying, "Oh, she brought this black guy with the kind of outro style. We're going to give him, we're going to sort of give him a working over, and you leave the winner of that joke."
How's it going? What have you discussed so far? You discussed the fight?
So I discussed the whole card, discussed feelings about the decision, but I want to know yours, because I'll just quickly, I'll frame it for you, then you can take the floor, because I am a little tired of speaking.
Sure.
But so everybody in the industry seems to think, and fans alike, most people seem to think Bivol last night. Frank Warren says he thought Bivol won. Eddie Hearn is outraged that it was discussing decision, especially that 116, 112 card. Thinks Bivol won, and most of the polls I've seen have been Bivol happy. What do you think?
Just to preface this, your vocals are really breaking up. I don't know if that's with everybody or just me, but just to let you know.
It's the Wi-Fi is not great here, I think.
Ah, okay. Well, why talk if Wi-Fi is...
I'm not Gary's place. I'm Gary's kind of bolt hole. He's
Ah,
already
okay.
made an appearance.
Wow. And so people have been responding to you, even though you've been talking like sort of like alien and broken conversation? Because the sentences are incomplete. It's a guess. I'm guessing. But anyway, state your point. Sorry, go ahead. I'll read as best I can.
I said that I wasn't having a problem before. There was a little bit of a cutout, and I said the Wi-Fi's dodgy. They said, it's okay, Ben, you're loud and clear now.
Oh, okay. I just heard that. You're loud and clear. Okay. Good thing I brought it up. So continue. Where were we?
Well, I asked you who you thought won the fight.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, I saw Bivol the winner. I absolutely saw Bivol the winner. I thought
but were
he
you
came
scoring
out...
it? Just ask.
Sorry?
Were you scoring it? Were you scoring it?
I was scoring in
No.
my own inimitable way. What do you mean, no?
Yeah,
yes,
no, the answer is no. Thank you. Keep going.
I was scoring in my own
inimitable
way.
Let me just deal with this prick.
Listen, did you see my Facebook page? I put down at the end of each round who I thought won. So
let me just deal with this prick. Let me just deal with this prick here. He says, "What did I tell you last night?" Now, this guy said, "Anyone who thinks Bivol wins doesn't know shit about boxing." Now, that is a completely incorrect comment, right? And half the world agrees with his decision. When it's that close, nobody gets to say "I told you so," right? Nobody gets to say "I told you so." Agreed, Silk? Right?
Yeah.
We'll not acknowledge that again. But I just wanted to. I knew he'd turn up to vote. That's what he gets.
Well, we appreciate opinions, and opinions are like certain things that everybody has. So, I think it's very important that he states his opinion. He's clear. I mean, to say that I told you so on a split decision or whatever, as close as it was, I do believe Bivol won. You know what the interesting thing about Beterbiev is, like, once you slow him down and you look at him, like the fight in slow motion, and the punches that you think missed are hitting. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, there's rounds I saw him doing nothing, but then when they slow it down at the end of the round, it shows that he's actually hitting Bivol. And I was like, oh, that's kind of strange. And I don't know if that's because, listen, here is what it is. When you're there live at the fight, you're sitting there live and you hear it as well as see it. So you know the impact. You're down by ringside, so you can score it differently. And so I do hold that, to the guys, the judges at ringside. That's one of the things that happens that we don't see. We don't feel the impact. We don't hear the concussive blows that are hitting the body. We don't see the sweat flying or the blood, or we don't hear the guy breathing as the referee does, as the ringside physician does, and as the judges do. So that's one thing that absolutely sways a fight. Like, you hear the concussion, the concussive force of a blow hitting the body, and you're like, okay, you know what I mean? It's not just my eyes now. I'm using different senses. Us looking at it on TV, on the screen, we're not getting that at all. It has to be a clean punch and they run it at the end of the round. They run it slow motion. Then you're like, oh my God, yeah, definitely. Beterbiev won that, or Bivol won that, or whatever it is. But I did see Bivol busier throughout the fight for some reason, but I don't know what the punch stats said. But to me, it looked like Bivol was much, much busier. What I don't like about the punch stats is they give you points for punches that aren't even punches. You can just have a hand motion towards somebody, and it's not even a real punch, and all of a sudden they're counting that as a punch. And I'm like, come on, man, who do you have? Who is behind your machine counting punches? Because I didn't see him throwing that many. What do you think?
Well, I've never taken much store by punch stats, Silk, and for the reason you said. What always shocks me, Silk, people will routinely rubbish the verdicts of judges who are known and named and visible. Some of them have got track records and are quite well known. And any fan from Acton to Arkansas will have no problem saying that guy's an idiot or he's blind, yeah? But they'll look at the anonymous punch stats and say, look at this. This proves it. Look at the punch stats. And like you just said, who did them? Who is doing this? We've never had an interview with them. We've never had a bio. This is Mark, who does punch stats. So why are CompuBox numbers such a holy grail? And the other thing, right? As Bivol said, because he made a very classy post-fight speech, he said, I felt I landed more punches. He said, but boxing not just about landing more punches, yet it's about winning rounds. He said, it's about impressing judges, and it's sometimes about aggression. But the point is, you can land more punches and still lose more rounds, can't you? It might be rare, but you can.
Ultimately, it's just ultimately like if one guy is unrelenting, he's going forward, and the other guy's backing up. But ultimately, it comes down to who puts his fist on the other guy's face the most times, or body, a scoring area. But you can comes down to with boxing.
Let me give you an example, though, and to give you an example of why it's not just about landing more punches necessarily, is because I'll give you an amateur example to frame it better. When they changed it, the computer scoring, suddenly the only significance of the round and the bell was it gave you a minute's rest before the next period of action, because it was being scored on aggregates of most punches landed, because they just kept counting on a computer, right? Okay? Mm-hmm. So it didn't matter who one round won, it was just the count carried on, yeah? But, so you get kids in the amateurs then who have been scored on the computer, and there'd be people saying, or one of the trainers or somebody's dad might be saying, he won 2 rounds out of 3. He won the first 2 rounds. How can he have lost that? And a more knowledgeable voice would say, it doesn't matter, Bill. It's about the most. If you lost the third by a mile, you could still lose. Now, what I'm saying is, because in professional boxing, we don't score on a computer or punch stats effectively, because punch stats are a bit like the computer aggregate score. So the reverse is true. Do I make sense? You can be outlanded, but you won those rounds, even if you lost 1 round by a mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I sort of know what you mean. Is that how professional boxing is now? That's how they score it now?
No, what I'm saying is because they don't. To be honest, my example was possibly a bit confusing because I was inviting you to postulate the reverse. Let's suppose you and me are in an amateur fight, but it's being scored the way pro boxing is. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to flatter you here. So suppose you're having a really, let's say you're having a really bad first 2 rounds. You're half asleep. You know, you don't even, somebody drugged you. Let's say one of my lot, or threw paint at you, maybe. Yeah. So just to take you off your game. Yeah. So I land 3 punches in the first round. You only land 2, and they're accredited. Then, and that happens again in the second round. So I'm 2 punches up. Yeah. But then you land. So I got 2 10-9 rounds. Then let's suppose you land 20 punches and I only land 2 again in the third round. You've still lost by round scoring, but on an aggregate punch stats or computer scoring, you would have won. You understand?
Yes.
So that's how you can outland someone and still lose. Are we there now?
Yeah, we're there.
Okay.
You can win the fight, but lose the round. Lose the rounds, but win.
Now let's run the realistic version. I come out, I do a little shuffle, then I get sparked with an overhand right, and you walk away casually, still wondering why I even showed up.
Is there a breakup?
There must be.
Yeah. Let me see, but yeah, I mean, I understand where you're going with it. I look at it like, do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good.
Okay. Yeah. Look. Ultimately, anyone who's watched boxing enough, you understand if the fist hits the face or a scoring part, you know whether he's backing up, whether he's coming forward. That's the guy who won. That's the guy who won. Basically, whoever hits the guy more often than ever. And then, of course, there's like the results of the punches. Like, does he wobble him? Does he drop him? All the rest of those kinds of things. They go to, giving you maybe not necessarily a bigger lead, but they do score it adequately. Like in Atlantic City, now they drop it to like if it's a 10-7 round, whereas it was only either 10-9, 10-8 with a knockdown. Then years ago, back when I was fighting, they dropped it to like you can do a 10-7, 10-6. You know what I mean? They gave that levity to the judges so they can do whatever they want with that. Anything else?
Have you ever seen a 10-6 round? Have you ever seen a 10-6 scorecard that you remember?
Not really. But I mean, guys that get dropped twice in a round, and then they get battered around, and then they end up.
Do you know? I saw one. I saw one once.
Where's that?
Duran Hearns, round 1.
Oh,
I swear one of those judges scored it 10-6.
Yeah. I mean, how could you not? That was just insane. You know what's interesting? This fight, just to jump onto another subject for a second, this fight was exactly what I meant when I said don't expect Hearns Hagler. And that's what's so interesting about it. Like, I think a lot of people that aren't so well versed in boxing really deeply thought like it's going to be a super fight and these guys are going to go head to head and just meet in the center of the ring and have it out. And that's not the reason why it was a great fight. It was potentially a great fight because of their skill levels, right? But here's the thing about their styles or their boxing, or what actually didn't make it a great fight. Like in terms of, yes, stylistically and ability-wise, they were absolutely great. But in terms of like both fighters don't have that emotional, they don't function exceedingly well outside of their comfort zone, is what I'm saying. They don't go there. They're like they're self-limiting styles. Like the styles that they employ are very much by the book, emotionless. Obviously you can put a lot of effort in and you can still punch, but they don't let go the same way. Like now the fight's late. It's late in the last couple of rounds, and whoever was able to open up is going to be the winner. But neither one of them could really open up. Like when I say open up, I mean make their punches big, wider. Like everything has to be always straight down the point and executed perfectly, and they don't go outside their comfort zone.
They weren't big on flair, were they? There wasn't.
Not even in terms of flair. I'm just talking about like when it comes time to get it, like when you got to dig, and you need a knockout, you need to throw, like you need to open up. And yes, you're gonna be a little bit open to being knocked out or hurt or caught yourself. But that's what you do in terms of trying to get the knockout. You have to be able to open up. You have to take your elbows away from your body, away from your ribs. And they didn't do that at any point in the fight. And either one of them that could have done that, well, Beterbiev won it anyway, and they could have certified that by opening up and being able to let go. And that's what I think I was talking about when I'm saying, like, yes, they're absolutely great. They have great ability. They have great power. They have great intelligence in the ring. But this is something that their cornermen or their trainers didn't equip them with. And that's something that you see a lot in the amateurs with Eastern European fighters. And you see it in Western Hemisphere fighters as well, if they're not taught that same way. As a trainer, your job is to teach this kid how to be able to, like, he shouldn't have to be told in the corner what he has to do. He must innately know what to do, and he must have the ability to be able to do it. So if you keep a guy tight and regiment like this all the time, and every time he throws, it's like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and he's programmed. He has no natural flair of his own, so he can't open up. There's times in a fight when you throw very sharp and straight combinations, yes. There's a time when you have to dig down and it becomes your instinct, and it's no longer your intelligence. You have to lead with your instincts, and you need to get a guy out of there. And if you can't open up your punches and make that, it's not going to happen. It just won't, because they're both fresh, they're both in great shape, and they're both playing chess, and their cornermen are telling them what to do, and they're programmed. And that's the one thing both of them did that I think severely affected their ability to win the fight, to close the show. Especially with Bivol, if you're saying he didn't win it, he stayed in that step out and pivot and go. What do you think?
I thought he was too conservative, certainly, Silk.
Yeah,
hiding behind that guard and not winning the narrative of the round sometimes in everyone's eyes, like perhaps he arguably could have done. And also, let's suppose it was even after 10 rounds. I know much has been made of the fact that Beterbiev's corner told him he had to win by a knockout after 10 rounds. But let's suppose they were finally balanced on the cards, which inevitably they were. We know that now. Beterbiev stepped up and threw everything but the kitchen sink at him in the 11th round. And even in the 12th round, when it was screaming out for a big finish from Bivol, he didn't produce it, So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the last 2 rounds he was really going to open up and let go.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought like he's going to seal it right here. Yeah. I mean,
to be honest with you, I still expected him to get his hand held up as the fight immediately finished. My when you just imagine what's going to happen, I was still expecting, and the new undisputed Dmitry Bivol. I did expect that, but I'm not inclined to bitch about the verdict, honestly, Silk, because I understand why Beterbiev was adjudged the winner. I do get that. I need to watch it again. Friend of mine, Tony Cox, was there last night, and he sent me 12 really good videos of each round filmed on his phone because he was sitting really close up. Wow. And they're really nice. He's got a really good view of it. He's captured it really well. And there's no commentary, so there's no spin on it. It's just, he said, if you want these copyright free, take them. So I don't know what we were going to do with it, but maybe we could do something with them. Maybe we could do a little video and see if we get away with it. Because they're not HBO's coverage. They've got no commentary on them, so we could probably have that.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll chop that up and have some fun with it.
There you go. Maybe the only one that's going to get mad is the Sheik, and we're probably like not on his radar.
We're not on his radar yet. We're on a lot of radars, I mean, I am anyway. But
but you are.
Yeah. Well, do you know, for some reason, our name seems to be notorious. I don't think people would necessarily be familiar with me, and they are, and it's not always good. It's not always something to be thankful for, unfortunately. But people know you.
You know how to stick and move. That's important.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
like I was saying,
by the way, quickly, me and Gary had a little spar earlier, only with hands in their bedroom. But
hey, listen, do you really want me to know about this?
Maybe not.
Yeah,
Doughty was there as well.
Oh, okay, that makes it a little bit
more acceptable. She filmed it.
Oh, she filmed it. Oh, okay. And people. So did you guys act? And what happened? Like, did you?
I was literally just messing around. He just said, Ben, you remember when you said you wanted to fight me?
Yeah.
He said, I'm more awkward than you think. Look, he said, just indulge me a minute. Have a look at this. And we were just, when you slap someone, show them where you would have hit them, or you block when they tried to slap you. But it was fun, because he was just like Gary Stretch, just back in the day. Those mannerisms and Southpaw, obviously, it was like watching him. You know when you can see quintessentially that's him, and it was kind of cool. But I think we should do it properly in the gym,
Yeah, no, I think we have to do it. I think that what happened last night allowed you to get a little more comfortable, and now you really feel confident. And Gary shouldn't have opened himself up. He should have kept it a total surprise.
Do you know what? You're not just a pretty face. That's not a bad analysis of actually how I feel about this little thing that we had. But Sammy, this guy Sammy, by the way, if he makes respectful comments, it's cool. I only delete ones I think are hilarious or designed to dig me out or whatever. But he says Hall of Famer Teddy Atlas confirmed that Beterbiev won clearly via at least 7-5. So obviously Teddy Atlas is one opinion, and he's an opinion I rate. It doesn't surprise me that Atlas liked. We should have Gary in here to ask what he thinks of Teddy Atlas. But it doesn't surprise me, Michael, that Teddy thought the Artur won.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I expected more out of Beterbiev. I think that's part of it. You know what I mean? I didn't really think. I didn't see at any point he won anything like absolutely clearly. Like I didn't see him dominate. Whereas in the early rounds, it looked to me like Bivol was the one doing it. He kept Beterbiev turning. He kept him. He negated his power. He got off first, you know what I mean? He was the first one to let go with the combinations. And the only time Beterbiev really let go of combinations was after he got caught with something. He's like, oh, I'm going to get it back. So it was always an answer to that. There were a lot of people that said, listen, you can't get in there in a boxing match and back around the ring with your hands wrapped around your head and win the fight. The thing is, yes, you can. And the problem,
you know what? I hate it, Silk. I hate you can't win a fight by going backwards. It's the same as you can't take a belt in the other man's backyard like that, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. You have to knock out the champion in order to win. I mean, come on.
Oh, please.
Yeah, that's just not the way it is. When two men get into the ring, neither one of them's the champ until you walk out with the belt. You know what I mean? That's the way it works.
Thinks Bivol fought to survive. I think that's a little unfair, but the narrative is there. Did Beterbiev want it more, and was that obvious?
I don't know. I mean, I saw Bivol's left hook was pretty. It caught him a few times and had some good snap on it. You know what I mean? And caused caused hesitation out of Beterbiev. Beterbiev was aggressive in going forward only, and I just, it was very hard to score those kinds of rounds for him, especially when you don't believe in what we just mentioned. We don't believe in you're the aggressor, you're going forward. That was it. But I'm
James Smithy Smith, right? You know James Smithy Smith, yeah. He always says this, like he says the vast majority of people, including some licensed judges, don't know how to score a professional fight. He said they've got to use all 4 criteria. Now, I think the 4 criteria is a crock of shit, to be honest with you, because they talk. You know what it is. You know this, but I'll remind you. So it's clean punching, effective aggressiveness. They don't even call it effective aggression. They call it effective aggressiveness, which sounds a clunky way of putting it. Ring generalship and defense. Now, I've given you my thoughts on that before, and to be honest with you, the other things I think are factors in the art of boxing. But for me, the scoring criteria is better if you keep it simple. It's clean punches. That is what, like you said, face and body, target area. The other things are part of the law of boxing, Michael. They're not part of the scoring system.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I've always made a point of talking about and discussing in an argument with people on this. It's like, if you slip punches, okay, you're not getting the point like you scored a punch, but yes, it counts for something. That's that defensive ability. That's all a part of it. It's extremely important, And
it's extremely important, but I don't think it should be a positive touring criterion. I'll argue that to the grave, because
you don't think a person should get.
No, you don't get a goal just because a keeper saves one. You know, but the save is very important. It's absolutely crucial. You need a good goalkeeper, and saves are utterly crucial, but they don't positively impact on the score. And neither should slipping a punch or
No, but
it's
not a save. Like to be able to stand in front of somebody and to make a miss is one of the most. It's harder than striking somebody out.
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's harder than, like, you know what I mean, bowling over the pins in cricket, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's to stand in front of somebody, and this man is trained to take your head off with punches, and he's been doing it for decades. And to have that person throwing punches at your face, and you're able to go and slip and get under it and time it and do all the rest of that, that's like it's insane. It really is. We're not talking about untrained individuals. So yes, that should be acknowledged in boxing. I 100% believe that. And if somebody said, listen, if somebody went out and threw 300 punches in the round, and this guy made him miss every single punch, you'd give the guy who threw all the punches the round, but you wouldn't give the round. You wouldn't consider giving the round to the kid that made that guy miss 300 times.
What are you telling me? There's no punches landed by either of them. You're telling me, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Even round.
Well, none is landed by either one, but this guy made it miss. That means he is in control. Like he knows boxing. This man, anyone could throw. Yes, not a lot of people could throw really well, but anyone can throw punches. Not anyone could make somebody miss. Absolutely.
For me, it's an even round because it didn't have any punches landed. But I understand the point you're making, but I don't agree with it. And it's a myth about Wooly Pep winning a round, you know, without throwing a punch.
Well, we didn't mention that. I don't know if it's a myth. Obviously, it must have been based on something.
It's a myth,
honestly. Ben, how else did he get the name Will-o'-the-Wisp? Come on, stop.
Well, that must have happened, or he wouldn't have got the name. He got it because he was hard to hit, and that was obvious to a blind man on a runaway horse, or a one-eyed man with a belief system. You know, even either or. But it's a myth, Silk. Trust me, you're many things. You are not an historian, and you know that is a fact. It is a myth. I'll tell you. Tell me what fight it was.
It had to come from somewhere.
It was based on the fight you have with Jackie Groves.
All we need to do is probably, if we went back in time, like into the archives, into the newspapers, I'm sure you'd find it.
No, Silk, I'm telling you, I've gone into the archives. It is from the St. Paul, Minnesota Gazette, and it says. It was the round it describes, which was, I believe, the second round of his fight with Jackie Graves. Sorry, the fifth round, I think, of his fight with Jackie Graves in 1940. I can't figure the date right now, but it's 1940s. They said that was one of the most action-packed rounds of the fight. It's a total myth that's come about that he won the round without throwing a punch. Boxing myths.
Maybe they said the wrong round. Maybe they said the wrong round. Maybe the fourth round was the first round.
Trust me, it is not. It is baseless, and it's just one of those romanticized myths. I could give you a whole bunch of myths. Ali did not lose that gold. He lost that gold medal. He did not throw it in the Ohio River, and you won't find one reference point for it mid-70s when he suddenly told it in the autobiography. He'd have mentioned that when he was an angry young black guy. For sure. But,
okay.
But there's lots of myths in boxing. And
yes, there are.
People love to cling to them.
And there are a lot of myths, and you are one of the purveyors of one. And I'm about to hit you with this one. This fight last night, this fight, how it went, and how there wasn't really a clear winner, not in my estimation, in your estimation. This is what happens when you have two fighters that base everything off the jab, and they can't let their punches go freely. There's like a lack of creativity. There's obviously a ton of ability, absolutely off the charts ability, no doubt there. I'll give you that. But the creativity now, everything had the jab before it. And it's like the Ben Doughty School of Boxing. I was like, come on, man, you guys do things differently, because different is what's going to score.
One second, you called it the Ben Doughty School of Boxing. You've seen me box, right? Yeah,
I've seen you box.
And I'm conventional.
But you tell me all the time. We're always arguing about the jab, and you're always telling me no. And you and all the guys are like, no, you have to leave with the jab. This is stupid. It's silly. I've never heard.
No, listen. No, I don't listen. You're pinning that on the wrong guy. I think absolutely outside the box with boxing. And I broke loads of rules, and I was a nightmare to my coaches who kept saying, "You're not Sugar Ray Leonard. Will you stop that? Not Muhammad Ali." And I just say to them, I was a bit like you. I was a smart mouth. I said, "And you're not Enzo Dundee. God knows." But but I still think it is more important than any other single punch. I don't say that you have to use it, and I don't say a guy you can't deviate from it. I don't say there are not occasions when you might need to shelve it or think it differently and go another way. But if somebody, for so many reasons, if someone said to me, "Is there any punch more important than the other?" I'd say it's still the jab. But I'm not. I'm not all about convention. You can lead with a hook. You can do whatever. I know trainers who'd even say you couldn't possibly lead with a hook, like Roy Jones, and jump in with it. And I'd say, why not? Or like Floyd Patterson, gazelle punch, whatever. And they would say, and they would tell you that you couldn't do it. And the only reason they ever did it is because they had natural talent, and it's something you can't possibly copy. That is small-mindedness. I still believe in the jab, but I ain't no simple ABC school of anything.
No, yes, obviously you're not. I mean, I sometimes I take it a little bit too far. I, expand a little bit. I know I've seen your style. I'm all about it. I like it. It's good, and you are. But I mean, come on. You tend to side with those guys when we're arguing about this thing online and all.
Because with you, let us recount the ways. Let us count the ways again of the contrarian. You believe in no uncertain terms that there's no such thing as a weight advantage, no such thing as a height advantage. The jab is not the most important punch in the world. Body shots do not take a slow debilitative effect on you. What else? What else? I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, there's more.
There is more.
What's that? Gloves, 16-ounce gloves.
The gloves, yeah. The bigger the gloves, the more concussive impact.
Which is absolutely 100% right as well. And you guys just don't. You guys are stubborn.
Can I ask Julian McGowan? Can I ask Julian McGowan? Is one of the boxing minds I trust, alongside yourself. I mean, see, the thing with you, I feel the more you get to know somebody and the more intimate you get with somebody, the more they have the potential to annoy you, right? Because you know them better. You can admire the hell out of somebody at a polite distance. You get in with somebody involved in something. This is like being in a band and having all the squabbles that go with being in a band. It feels like that. So consequently, I can be like, oh, fucking Silk thinks this. He's going to say this. And that's a sign that we know each other better and are better friends than we were 2 years ago. But can I ask Julian what he thinks about the Silk says? Basically, if you've got 16-ounce gloves, you've got more of an advantage in terms of what the concussive impact you're going to have than a guy with 8-ounce gloves. So I suspect what Silk's saying is, if he had an amateur fighter, and he does have one now, if he got the chance of his kid being allowed to wear 16s and the other guy was wearing 8s, I get the impression Silk would take the 16s, whereas everybody else in boxing would take the 8s. What's your view on it, Julian?
Well, first of all, that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that.
So let me figure out where we're going with I get your theory, right? That the bigger gloves, smaller gloves have more impact. So Julian's with the crowd, and Julian is not afraid to think outside the box at all.
No, it's not this. First of all, Ben, it's not that they have more. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say. Finish.
So here's what I want to go establish. What you suggest should change as a result of the misconception that you have identified as far as you're concerned. You believe that Julian Jackson has got even more chance of putting a hurt on you, or Tommy Hearns has, if he's got heavier gloves than he has with lighter gloves.
Concussive, yes. Hurt. When you say hurt, listen. First of all, what y'all need to realize is that concussive blows have nothing to do with pain. You don't feel pain. If somebody hits and you say, "Wow, that man hit so hard, it hurt like that," you didn't get hit. When you get hit, when you get dropped or when you get hit with a shot and you're all over the place, pain has nothing. It doesn't even register. It's not even a part of the equation. Pain.
Well, it must have happened to you a lot, so you've got the advantage there. But it did happen to me once, and I can confirm I didn't feel anything when I got knocked down one time.
Yeah, well, I never took a 10 count, that's for sure, and I fought some beasts. So if you got knocked out,
same. No, come on. I know.
No, but what I'm saying is look, it doesn't make sense to me. We're jumping off and we're jumping away from the Bivol, but Beterbiev.
We are.
I don't want to do that, but what I'm saying is
they were too conventional and they were too reliant on the jab to their detriment.
Exactly, and they couldn't open up, and that's the biggest problem with those guys. They weren't allowed to use their imagination, or they weren't trained to use their imagination. They were taught to box by the numbers. This is what you do in this situation, this, that, and the other. And so you need to go off the track at some point. at a certain point, in order to get something, you have to be able to be like you need to make room for your creativity. Like you have to be able to like express yourself, not express what this trainer's always said. So they're talking. I would have loved to have heard the corner. They keep dropping the ball by not having good corner.
Yeah,
You
what
know,
has happened to our
parabolic
corners,
mic in the
Silk?
corner for crying out loud.
Well,
You know what I
we
mean?
need that. That's important. I agree with you. And instead, we're getting these drawn out R&B singers right before the fight starts and all that. But we're not getting the corner talk.
Yeah. We're not getting the corner talk, and that's extreme. That's so important in boxing. Then you can really hear. Now you know why the fighter is doing that and doing those things, because fighters are programmed and they're going to fight the way their trainers allow them to. But you need to be able to get open. It's so important. I know because I've done it myself. I've done it like whereas I wasn't able to open up. And that's one of the most incredible things when a fighter is able to do that. You look at Sugar Ray Leonard, he's tight. He keeps his punches all succinct and sharp. And then there's that time when he has to reach out and he has to let his hands go away from his body and snatch that guy's chin. And he's able to do that. Look at that overhand right he was able to throw, and he caught Hearns with, bam, against the ropes late in that fight, 14th round or whatever it was.
And do you remember when he fought Larry Bonds and he literally threw about 16 right hands in a row? And they were right hands, they were right hooks. There was no jab at all because he's like southpaw. I can hit him with my right hand. And Ray just drilled him like a machine gun with the rear hand. It was
and I don't believe in that right hand southpaw thing either. Come on.
It worked for Ray against Larry. Yeah, exactly. There we go, Silk. You can't even get out of your own way when someone's trying to
get out my way. I'm getting out my own way, bro. I'm just telling you. The right hand is not the most effective punch against the southpaw. That's the
Julian. Ground control to Julian McGowan. Is the right hand the most effective punch against the southpaw?
No,
because you see what happened there, Silk. I'm saying to you, the hell with the jab sometimes. And then you're but you shouldn't be using the right hand against southpaw either. Not that
because you can't be predictable. That's not how boxing works. And if it's a southpaw, he fights a certain way. He needs certain things that like the properties of his style. Like every southpaw doesn't do the same thing. They line up a certain way. But guess what? Your right hand is the furthest thing away from his chin. Your left hand is the closest thing to his chin. And 1,000,000,001 people have taught this guy who's going to fight a southpaw how to throw the right hand against him. So guess what? Every southpaw knows. Every southpaw knows you're going to try the right hand. It's ridiculous. It's like, come on, man. It's predictable. We need to move away from that school of thought.
Will I get Gary back here and see if I can hit him with a left hook?
Yeah, please do. It ain't me. That's basically what I was saying. They were two fighters who based everything off their jab. So what happens is you end up being predictable. And so when it's predictable like that, you lessen your chance of winning. And
Yeah, I agree with you. There's too many cliches about the southpaw in terms of moving to your left. Julian's picked up on it. He said it's like moving to your left against a lefty. What if he's got a huge right hook? That's the thing. It's so limited and so blinkered. I remember when I say, why should I move to my... Like even people say move to your right more against an orthodox. Don't move to your left so much against an orthodox because you're supposed to move away from his power hand. What if he's a murderous left hooker? What if he's naturally left-handed? I don't know. I don't always know, do I?
But Ben, what about this? What if everyone's always moved away from his left hook? What if you move into it with the purpose, with the knowledge of knowing what it is, what it does? And what if you take away, what if you shut down his strongest weapon? What about that? Like people like move away from it, get away from why? Go to it, shut it down.
Thank you, because you can shut it down by interfering with it in whatever way. Also,
before it gets to its most explosive point, he thinks it's going to be its hardest right here, right?
It's
hardest right here in the middle. But if you stop it here, if you catch it anywhere before it gets here, you're better off for it, and you frustrate him, you shut him down. I mean,
moving away from it, you might give him perfect leverage to clock you with it once he times you.
Listen, you're only going to be able to dodge it, but so many times.
So we are pretty limited as a collective boxing fraternity. We are quite limited on our thinking, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Not me. Like when you say
not you, heaven forbid, not you.
No, I really think like boxing is extremely creative, and it's extremely like it's Like the essence of it. I mean, everything about it is like it's your natural survival. It's like you're being put out there, and you're testing all your skills. You know, perception, ability, resiliency, like all these things you're testing every time you go out there. And so why not think different? Like, different is what confuses people.
I know, and honestly,
Everyone's prepared.
London,
like if I'm fighting Beterbiev, right? Let's say I'm a light heavyweight and I'm young and strong.
well, no, you don't have to be a light heavyweight. You could be a strawweight. It wouldn't matter. It's the skills, right? Right?
But well. Before
now, go
we
on,
go
keep going. Make your point.
Yeah, exactly. Now you made me forget it because you want to get me argumentative and somebody else on another issue. And
you said, suppose you're fighting Beterbiev. Go on, you're in there. Silk's in there.
Yeah, and so I know I forgot it totally. Oh man,
your brain really is like a sieve, isn't it? It's got potholes in it because that was the smallest little bit of joshing, and it's all gone.
No, but my
sure
mind, that's not what my mind
now.
does. My mind, like when someone is like you're in argumentative mode, and so I'm very much like I'm like in the moment. I'm like, okay, this is coming, and I turn with the shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I come back right away. Now, if the punch is gone, I like the fight's still going on, and I'm looking for the next one coming at me because I know you're always trying to shoot down the Red Baron.
All right. So this show has been on for one hour, 20 minutes.
The sop with camel over there.
Yeah. This show has been in a reality now for 1 hour and 20 minutes. So maybe we could.
Has it been that long? I thought you started at 4 o'clock to 4:30. What is it now?
I started at 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
4 o'clock your time.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe, and there was another point. Like maybe if Bivol didn't pivot on his punches so much, he would, when he hit Beterbiev, he was better able to like slow him down and give him something to think about, so he wouldn't come in with a head of steam.
Well, you think he was pivoting to move away once he finished punching?
Yeah. You got to punch through the target, and I know you don't want to stay there too much, but I don't know. I thought he looked good, like the times when he did plant, but he just had to more Sugar Ray him. Like he stayed like Sugar Ray.
I think so. I was thinking, I was begging for some Sugar Ray kind of look in there last night.
If he was able to do that, but again, he's like, it's fighters fight what their personality is, and when Ray's exuberant, when his energy shows physically, Beterbiev is much more like he's a much more dour individual, right? He's a little bit more, he represses his emotions, and that's the way a lot of fighters fight. They've repressed their instincts, their emotions, all the rest of that kind of stuff, and it's very surgical and pointed, and it works against a great deal of people, but it failed him. Even though I still think he won, it failed him in the fight with Beterbiev.
So, in closing, this, I think, is an obvious no-brainer example of when there should be an immediate rematch. It's nonsense when they start talking about Joshua Dubois doing it again next time with nobody else resetting themselves. But I think this is obviously a case where a rematch makes complete sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I haven't gone over the fight again. Maybe if I looked at it a second time, I would think differently, quite possibly. I'd love to have. Did you drop Scully a line?
Not yet. We can talk to him. Maybe we'll get him on.
I wonder what he thought, because I saw some of his writings, and to me, it didn't seem he was convinced himself. Like he didn't look like, it didn't sound to me like he.
Yeah. Like I told you all.
Yeah. But he's not the kind of I told you so kind of guy anyway. But
No, you are, but
that's the only reason why I get up in the day, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I hear that. I feel that.
Yeah, and also, so now my record is 28-9.
No, it's not. It's 28-10.
Yes, it is.
What? No, you're not having it. Listen,
it's not 28. You got 10, it.
Oh no,
it's not 20. Ben, it's not 28-10. Stop that.
No, you got that before, right? You got this before. You're not getting this one. You're not getting this one overturned. But also, you're on mute for a second. Now listen, also, we're starting again with new rules. So you won. You already won. You already won.
You muted me, right?
Yes, because I needed to make that point.
Yeah, but I'm.
You
I'm
already
telling
won,
you,
and we're starting
my
again.
record is not that. I don't have that many. I don't have 10 losses. I did
Listen.
not predict that fight. You told me I had to predict the fight, and I
Yeah,
didn't even.
you did.
I didn't even predict it before we went off air. I didn't even
Yes,
say
you did. You did,
No,
but you were already. Let me speak. You did, but you were a little bit tentative, and you already said you may change your mind tomorrow. And I said, forget it, Silk. You're not allowed to. I said, you're
Yes,
not doing that. We're nailing you down to this one.
Stop it.
But
I
regardless,
asked you to
Silk.
finish the tape, and you couldn't even do that, man. Come
Phase
on.
one, yes, I did. But phase one is over. You won. Now we're starting again. And here's what we're going to do. And I'd like people's views on this. Gary's already provided the funds, like £20 each. He's already put that in to give it to me today. He said there's £20 each. We're all going to invest £20 in wherever we want to across whatever card every week, and we're going to see who makes the most money. Yes, we'll still talk about fights that we're not betting on, and we can give opinions on who we think will win for the benefit of the viewers. But we're going to each start with 20 quid. You won phase one. That was one model for the game. This is a new model. We're each going to start with 20 quid.
Yeah. First of all, I want my belt. I want my acknowledgement.
We'll give you an acknowledgement. We'll make a thing of it. I'll make a kind of a print we can show, like a. But you won phase one, regardless of the thing, right? But in future, we're going to have more stringent rules to avoid this kind of situation, because it's not really acceptable for someone not to pick on someone the fight of the year, the most important fight of the year.
No, well, how does that? I don't even understand why you're.
Well, don't worry, Silk, because under the new rules, you'll be allowed to bet on whatever you like, and it's your money. Okay. That's how it's going to work.
But
Now, my only advice to you is
I'm not even that kind of better. So what am I going to do? I'm going to like fight. I pick the fights that I want to bet on. Is that it?
Yes, you do, and also you'll pick the method of victory you want to bet on. If you want to bet on the KO, you can bet on it, but bear in mind you lose if it doesn't.
Too much work. Are you kidding? That's work.
Well, that's how we're doing it. It's a new phase. You won phase one. Now we're taking the. Listen, seriously. There's method in this madness. We're going to approach betting companies, everything like that. We're going to make it more of a thing and make it. The stakes are getting higher, right? Well done for winning phase one. We've got to chase you now, but I'll help you through the process. Just don't be difficult and obtuse, okay?
Obtuse.
Yeah.
Yo, you don't get this sleep by being obtuse. Come on, man. You know that.
Yeah, no, sorry. You don't get this sleek by being obtuse. Yeah, no, true. Chocolate milk has never been obtuse, and even that was not quite as sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. No, seriously, that's what we're doing now. But because I don't want to hear another thing about the old format, but you won it, and that is that. Okay.
Well,
but
everyone's
it's going to be more exciting and more viewer friendly, the new format. I know it's going to take a little bit. You're going to take a little bit of coaching, and you're going to have to get used to it. But embrace change. Change is good. Don't stay in the comfort zone.
I can't say anything there because change is good. You know what I mean? Change is good. It's as long as it evolves and doesn't go back into like insipidity. That's all I want.
That's just the worst. Okay, are we good? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sugar, Silk and Stretch. I thought the bit with me at the start was particularly good. Not that Silk hasn't been wonderful in his own inimitable way. We will be back. Gary had a walk-on part. I hope you enjoyed that. We will be back next week, next Friday, with an all-new betting predictions competition system. In the meantime, be lucky, keep punching. Peace out. Love all.